After a full season of racing in the real world, the hum of the CPU fans and the light of LED screens makes its return back into our lives as we commence the opening night of the 2023-2024 BRP iRacing Series. Joe Donahue and Jonathan Howe back on the mic, cocked, locked, and ready to rock for 117 laps of big block racing from the virtual Volusia Speedway Park. The Pete Cosco Memorial has become a staple event within this series to honor a man who loved and cared for motorsports at the topmost level. Jonathan, we are back with BRPtv to honor him once again and to get our winter fix of the sport that brings us close with each other. I am super excited to represent BRP for the second season in a row, and I know you are just excited for that as you are to be here for Pete's continued legacy in this sport.
Yeah, this is going to be a special one, Joe. It's a great way to kick the year off. It's a great way to honor a legendary track owner, legendary car owner with a lot of ties to the Southern Ontario region where I call home and where my racing career and at least my racing broadcast career really lives. And can't go without saying that this is, of course, the Pete Cosco Memorial presented by St. Catharines Marina. Get a little plug in for St. Catharines Marina, who are located just down the street from Cosco College in beautiful Port Weller. They are the St. Catharines Marina, a full-service marina for over 50 years, Joe. So we appreciate them coming on board to present tonight's action, a 117-lap event for these big block modifieds around Volusia. Things are looking good. I'm kind of surprised, Joe, by some of the names we're seeing at the top of the board for this warm-up session that's ongoing right now.
Yes, I agree with that too, and that's such a hard thing to say because we come into this series every week. We talk about how many great drivers there are, but yeah, I mean, there are just some guys that we don't always see at the top of the board during practice, like Alan Slight. But hey, he's done it. Travis Cunningham. Richie Pereira's been fast, but do we usually see him at the top of the practice board? Not necessarily. So yeah, it's a good shakeup to start things off for this season. Maybe we'll see it stay that way for a little while. Who knows? But this season, starting off tonight, the first of 20 races. We will be going 20 races, so it's going to be 5 and then 2 weeks off for the Christmas time. And then we're rocking to the end of about, April? Check that schedule out. And, yeah, we're going to go into actually the middle of April, so we're going to be here for a little while. We talked about the schedule itself, Jonathan, but just to reiterate, we're starting off the season sort of in the same strides as we did last year. Do you think that's going to pay into the guys who were here last year, or do you think it's just been too long?
I kind of feel like this is just going to be one of those new seasons. I feel like there's going to be some names at the top when it's all said and done tonight that we're very familiar with, and some that maybe we're not so familiar with. I've got Anthony Roselli kind of circled in my books as somebody that I'm not overly familiar with, but think that that's a name that we could be seeing a lot of throughout the night tonight. I think this track's going to go through a lot of changes, especially with a longer race at 117 laps tonight, Joe. That, I think, is probably going to be the biggest factor in determining who's going to be at the top of the board when it is all said and done. This track is going to change a lot and hopefully slow down, too, because these guys are going to have to... I believe fuel not necessarily could be a concern tonight, but if you're pushing it, I believe fuel might be something to think about for some of these drivers.
Yes, I remember when we were in the pre-race talking with the drivers and especially Corby and Matt who run the series here. I think the note was made that the cars only can handle a maximum of 115 laps worth of fuel. Now that doesn't include yellow laps. When you run a caution lap, you're not going to run anywhere near as much fuel out of the car. So banking on the fact that are we going to have at least one yellow during this race? I will be okay, but yeah, I mean, if this theoretically went flag to flag, we might need a competition yellow just to get everybody to the finish without running out of gasoline. But nonetheless, like I said, I think it's safe to say we probably won't have that problem.
No, knowing these guys, it's the first race. There's going to be some nerves, some jitters, maybe a couple mistakes. I feel like we'll be safe. We'll probably have enough caution laps counted towards that 117 to make sure that this goes smoothly to the end and we get all cars to the end, as long as they're running under power. A couple of drivers that we know are mainstays in the series, Joe, going through it a little bit right now. Like, I'm watching the board right now. Travis Miller down in 20th. We always think of him as such a favorite in this series. And right now, the speed is a little off the pace, a little lacking from the 22 right now.
Yeah, it's a little bit further down there. I think Cody Higbee might have just joined the session because he was last on the board and he was contending for a championship last time we were out. But nonetheless, it's time to find out who brings that speed forward as we are ready for the first qualifying session of the season. Every driver is going to get to go out onto the track on their own each time. So these guys are not going to see other cars. They're just going to have the pedal to the metal, and it will be time for them to try to set some laps. It's a 3-minute session, 2 laps apiece, and our field starts it off, and we're watching Alan Slight to start things off here as he was the fastest in practice. We'll see if he can go to the top of the board to start qualifying.
Now, what's more advantageous here, Joe? Do you want to go out early in this session to get that fresh track, or you want to rubber in just a little bit maybe in this session?
One thing I've always thought, and a lot of these guys who come out here are on teams with each other, as we say that, we're putting up these times on the board, and Dan Sider goes fastest. That's something we see very rarely, or occasionally, I guess I should say. But I would wait, because you're more than likely in here with a couple buddies, so they'll talk about it. They'll say, hey, the bottom lap was quicker, top lap was quicker, and then you'll be able to react according to that and run on the part of the racetrack that would suit a better lap time. So I personally would wait. And also I would wait because knowing the way broadcasting works in this situation, if you wait until the end of the session, you're going to get TV time. But, yeah, I think strategically waiting is a little bit better in this sort of deal.
Well, so far, a couple of favorites back to the top of the board. Cody Higbee, quick time thus far, and Gavin Isley not too far behind in the second spot, not too far off the pace. That doesn't really surprise us. Sider a bit of a surprise up there, but then the big dog, Ryan Beagle, up to 4th on quick time, and now we just had a little change in the top 5 there as well, as pretty much almost everybody has hit the track now for their laps, except for Travis Miller still waiting to go out.
Correct, and Brandon Plank's coming around to finish his second lap. This guy very easily could have been a champion last year if he had been at every race. He was not, and he lost all those points out. He jumps to P5, and he stays there. His second lap was not faster. There is the thriller, Travis Miller. They called him the Dragon Slayer. They call him Miller Light now. He is out of Canada and coming down to try to complete his second lap time, maybe get a little extra out of it, past the stripe. He's going to be the last one to need to put one up, and he goes to 15th quick. So not the best and not the worst qualifying run for him. All 24 drivers have put in a qualifying time, and that means all of them are set. Cody Higbee will be the fastest qualifier. Those bonus points are going to go to the 97 car to start the season. And we talked about the bonus points last time, Jonathan. Last season, they made a difference.
Absolutely they did. And you know what? Got to give credit to the rest of this field, as it is a fairly tight pack. Even Corby Daniels down at the bottom, just doing some rough math here, but what 5-6 tenths separating first to last in qualifying. So these guys are all running relatively the same speed, Joe. So that's a good sign come race day.
It absolutely is, Jonathan, and that's what we like to see, because it's going to keep the things on the racetrack exciting for us here watching on BRPtv. That's excellent. We have the starting grid not coming up here. We'll try to see if we can get that in the next heat race. I'll just list them off here from ATVO. Seems like ATVO is having a little bit of trouble pulling that information out of the session. Cody Higbee is going to be starting from pole in this group. He will be leading to the line aside the big dog. So we've got the 2 drivers who fought for the championship last time, bringing us into the heat racing action for 2023-24. Row number 2 is going to start on the inside with Tyler Joshimbowski in car number 88T. And to his outside, scored as the 80 car, is going to be Dominic Rosselli in his first heat race with the BRP iRacing series. Starting off on the inside of row number 3, we've got the 3A of Adam Hilton, and to his outside in the 47 Technology, number 96 is Richie Pereira. Last row on the grid is going to have Jeff Sharp in a new scheme. Good-looking car for him. To the outside, he's got the Teach Pat Reiser in his own new livery for this season with Murder Graphics on the side. They're going to have 2 laps to recon the track, if you will. Get ready to go. And next time by, we're going to start the racing action off for 2023-24. Jonathan, I am as stoked as ever, because look at the front row on this grid. Iceless 97 of Cody Higbee and the big dog Ryan Beagle. Those were the championship contenders last season.
Yeah, and Higbee wants to send a message. Didn't really get through that final race to make it interesting in the end of it. Had some issues early in the event, and Beagle really kind of got the chance to drive away with this one. But Joe, You know Higby's going to want to get out there early, send a message, and show him and show Beagle, the rest of the field, that he is the man to beat in 2023-24.
That is right, as the green flag's coming out, and we will start things off with a roar as the BRP iRacing Series is back, baby. Leading us in through turns 1 and 2. Cody Higby on the bottom side of the racetrack. Josh Mbowski right on his tail. Bottom side looked dominant in 1 and 2. How about we see what goes down in 3 and 4? Three-wide battle back there as Cody Higby's going to lead the first racing lap of this season. And we got a crash upside down and in the wall. And holy cow, the Teach is upside down and out of here.
Pat Reiser for a wild ride early in this one. We are still green in this one as well, as I believe in generally we try to avoid cautions if we can in the heats here, Joe. But up at the front, it's all Cody Higby. Josh Mbowski got out to a pretty good start. He's starting to fall back into the clutches of Ryan Beagle, who's pursuing him from the 3rd spot. Roselli doing a good job there, hanging tough in the 4th spot as they're single file amongst the front 4 cars right now. Beagle closing, and so it kind of looks like Josh Mbowski might be closing on Higby just ever so slightly.
Ever so slightly, maybe, but that gap is still close to about 3/4 of a second here, and with the halfway mark of the heat race coming to us, things aren't looking stellar for, well, actually, my eyes were deceiving me there. I think it's closing. I think you're right. Josh Mbowski is getting a little closer to that 97 car. The question is, if he gets there, will he be able to make a pass? This track is already slicked off.
Yeah, it's changing very quickly here. Josh Mbowski definitely is closing, but passing him is going to be another thing. And you know, is Higby really pushing it? Higby might know that he's got a little bit of a gap right now at the front of the field, and might just be trying to find a nice line that's comfortable for him to ride, and especially if he, was quick time, and he's going to win a heat, that's going to get him a very nice starting spot, probably the pole position if I'm not mistaken. So, you know what, Cody Higby, I don't think he's pushing it too hard just yet, Joe.
No, and he doesn't really need to. The white flag comes out this time for the iceless number 97 as Cody Higby was a championship contender last season with that sort of blue, black, and yellow car. He's got a new look on the ride this time, and for the final half mile of heat race number 1, Cody Higby slides in, goes to the top. No trouble from Josh Mbowski behind. Heat race number 1 on the season will go to Cody Higby. Second place going to be Tyler Josh Mbowski. 3rd for Ryan Beagle. 4th for Dominic Roselli. They're all going to get some bonus points out of being in the top 4. 4, 3, 2, 1 is the order of points for those guys as we flip in to heat race number 2. We'll give this one more try, see if ATVO is going to fix itself. It's not. Yes, it is. Oh, it did. That's beautiful. Mr. Howe, why don't you bring us the starting grid for heat race number 2?
Going from pole, Gavin Isley, the Catfish, and the 18 is going to lead him to green alongside Brandon Plank in the 77 machine. Ryan Susi will line up 3rd in the 38. Matt DeRitter in this one rocking the MDR Designs 03 ride. Tyler Pachalski joins us back this year in the 21, and Brian Berger will start 6th to his outside. And shotgun on the field in 7th, Dean Meitzler in the 49. 7 cars set to go in this one. Unless there's an 8th, but I think there should be just 7 if my math is correct. Anyway.
There is actually an 8th, so we're still having a small... Yeah, there's still a little small issue going on with ATVO there. It only picked up 7 of the 8 of them, but we're not leaving Al Slide out by any means. He's still a part of this heat race. So another 8 cars, another 8 laps. Jonathan, we got Isley and Plank leading to the green this time, and they weren't the 2 championship contenders when we came to Charlotte at the end of last season, but those are 2 heavy-hitting drivers to lead us to the green here.
Before the Christmas break last year, you could make an argument that both of those drivers were arguably the most dominant 2 of the league. And I'm sure, if they make all 5 before our Christmas break, we're going to be talking about them as front runners once again this year. I don't know, between the 2 of them, I really like Isley being down on the bottom, but I wouldn't put it past Plank to make some moves from the outside to jump out to an early lead.
I agree 100% with that, and I wanted to check back real quick because I know Brandon Plank won this race last year, but believe it or not, 2nd place at the end of the Cosco Memorial last time we did this was Gavin Isley. So number 1 and 2 from last time leading us to the green again. Heat racing back underway with heat race number 2, and Isley with the bottom line. Is he going to get that advantage out of the corner? The answer is yes.
Down the back straightaway, Ryan Susi trying to follow and use that advantage on the inside. He slides up the racetrack ever so slightly. That allows Plank to get around him. And Plank, shot out of a cannon down the front stretch, is going to get alongside Isley going into corner number 1. Now it looks like the Catfish going to sling it around the bottom side, and he should be able to clear that black and red 77.
And it's going to go back to Isley here as out of turn number 4 again. Plank, now he's going to rifle off the top. The shape of this racetrack let him get a nice run out of turn number 4. You got to kind of diamond that corner if you want to make 3 and 4 smooth. And unfortunately for Isley, he kind of had to pinch it off, and that's when Plank got that run. And he's going to do it again as Isley gets a little too low, hits that inside wall, and it's going to go all the way to the 77X now.
Definitely 3 and 4 are Plank's corners, and he is using them to the best of his abilities as he dives to the inside now. He'll slide up to the top side and roll off the top. Good little change of directions there from Plank. Looks like it's working. A little further back in the pack, you can see some action as Al Slate trying to move up from that 8th position on the grid. He's up to 6th thus far. 2 more spots, and that'll get him into the bonus points. At least 1 bonus point for finishing 4th. Again, we know those bonus points awarded from 1st to 4th in the heats, and they can make all the difference come championship time, Joe.
Absolutely they can, and they did last year right up until the feature race when Higbee had his misfortune. We got a nice battle going on here for one of those bonus points. That's Matt DeRitter in the 03 car on the inside. New look for him this season. Ryan Susi running that standard number 38. We're used to seeing him pull out the new dad on the outside of Matt DeRitter with the Murder Graphics 03 car as they're going to come to the white flag one more time. Matt does kind of have that preferred line. Little skip there, and we'll bring it back with Ryan Susi still having that run going as the white flag has already waved for Brandon Plank.
Plank out front on the high side out of turn number 2. He'll slide down the bottom of the racetrack into 3 and 4. Isley's going to follow his tire tracks. Will close up to within a car length, but can't get there. Checkered flag's going to wave. Brandon Plank takes the win over Gavin Isley. Good run to the checkers from the top 2 there. It's Plank, Isley, DeRitter, and Susi, your top 4.
Yep, and we're going to bring you the 3rd and final heat race now of the evening, and let's see how they line up. Starting from the pole, in car 084 on the grid. He's actually running the 77 this season, so that is, we're just going to have to avoid that for a sec, but when you look at the car on track, it'll have a 77 on the side for Dan Sider. Starting to his outside, Anthony Rosselli in car number 7, black, white, and pink all over. TC90, Travis Cunningham will roll off from 3rd in the Southern Ontario Dirt Show Machine, and Jamie Porter driving car number 45. Should have St. Catharines Marina on the side, the presenting sponsor of tonight's show, from 4th place. 5th place for the Thriller, Travis Miller, and 6th place is going to be Dean Reynolds in the 79 Machine, sponsored by the Super Dirt Car Series. Rolling off on the final row will be Nick Sheridan and the Beef, Corby Daniels. They will bring up the tail for the final heat race of tonight's action. Now, Jonathan, we've talked about Dan Sider before being quick, and actually, hey, he did switch it back to the 84. Good on him. Keeping everything, what's that word? I forget that word.
Copacetic?
Yeah, sure. That sounds like a big word that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. Keeping everything consistent is what I was going for, but there it is. And then there's Anthony Rosselli on the outside, who in the media day, in the practice I've watched, he has been a threat.
Definitely. I circled him here tonight. I think, I don't know if he's in contention for the win. I've really liked what we've seen from Plank and from Isley and from Higbee already. Beagle up there as well. But for a top 5, maybe can steal a podium. That is somebody that I've got circled here, Joe, as we're getting ready to take the green flag.
And the green flag's out, and 8 more laps of heat racing to go tonight. Sider to the bottom, trying to cut off the line as they go 3 wide behind him for 2nd place. It goes Cunningham on the inside, Porter in the middle, and Rosselli up top. A-Rose, big slider from Porter there. He just barely avoided contact with the 90. As we're back to the stripe and into the wall on the inside goes Nick Sheridan back there. We stay green.
Sheridan was trying to squeeze underneath Miller. I'm not sure if he got squeezed into that, but those two came awfully close to coming together, and it definitely did not work out for the 045 of Nick Sheridan, the rookie in this series here tonight. Out front, good little battle still. I mean, tightest I think we've seen for racing thus far, Joe. I mean, we've got still a battle for the lead. Slide job exchanged at a 3 and 4. The things are looking good at the front of the field. I like what I'm seeing for later in the night.
I am liking what I'm seeing too. I'm a little nervous about what's going to happen at the very end of the race if it's already this slicked off, but time will only be able to tell us in hopefully not too long. Rosselli leading the way, though, as the halfway point of heat race number 3 comes to us, and that number 7 car has a pretty commanding lead over these 2 cars behind him, still battling between each other. Porter and Sider doing so right now, but look at Anthony Rosselli. He's taken the block by storm and putting that 7 car out front, making a statement for his first run in the BRP iRacing series.
Rosselli up on the high side, doing a good job riding right against the cushion around this racetrack, and he is keeping it towards the front of the field. Sider having a solid run there in the second spot, holding off Jamie Porter, one of the threats that we constantly see towards the front of the field in this series. And Dean Reynolds doing a good job hanging tough there, as well as Travis Miller starting to close in on the top 4 spots, who are now single file at the front of the field, heading into 3 and 4.
Dean Reynolds is doing the same thing that he did at Williams Grove when he won the Cyber Nationals last season, and that is jump up above where the track is slicking off and use a little bit of that topside grip to rifle around the outside of everybody, and it's worked to get him into a bonus point paying position. It won't quite get him to the lead, as the lead is going to be brought back to the line for heat race number 3, and the win goes to Anthony Rosselli. Second place for Dan Sider, and third for Jamie Porter, with Dean Reynolds getting that final points paying position. What a show from the rookie. Warm-up coming up next.
You know what, Joe? This is a stacked field. Sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say, I'm looking through that heat. I'm thinking about the heats that we've already seen. This is a great field of cars for tonight.
I agree. I think that we've talked personally and on Media Day's broadcast about the rookie class we've got. We've talked about how many really good drivers there are, how deep the field's skill is. I was going to say strength, but that wouldn't make sense. We've talked about the guys who contend on a regular basis, but the guys who contend every once in a while. Oh, Cody Higbee almost ran into the back of a slow car there on screen. There are a lot of really talented drivers in this series, and that makes sense because a lot of these guys race in real life or work on cars, and you would think it would carry over, so it just makes perfect sense here. So as this warm-up session runs, we've got a 5-minute warm-up. The guys are going to buzz in the track a little bit more. They're going to put that talent to the works. They're going to put the track in a state where they're comfortable for 117 laps. And that's really important because 117 laps, you're really going to have a track you're comfortable with if you want to stay out of trouble, out of harm's way. That's a long time to be out with 24 other cars.
Yeah, absolutely. And, attrition's going to be a factor in this one as well, as 24 cars. That's got to be one of the higher fields that we will see probably all season. Hopefully, it's an average, or not something that's too out of the ordinary for us, as we hope most of these drivers are going to be able to make all of the races. But Joe, I think there's going to be very little room for errors at the back of the field. I feel like track position, staying within the top 5 to 10 spots is going to be what really truly matters if you want to not just win this race, but survive it till the end and have a shot at the win.
I absolutely agree with that. I think we've seen that year in and year out. Being able to survive a race is almost more times than not what you need, as opposed to just being fast, because we've seen these races have 3 cautions. We've seen these races have 13 cautions. The cream does rise to the top when you give them 117 laps to do it. So, yeah, staying out of trouble might be the way to go. It's not really about who leads the first lap. It's about who leads the last one. With that, real quick, let's take a second to throw some thanks in for the partners and sponsors that we have putting on the show tonight. We got to make a shout out to MDR Designs and Murder Graphics. Matt's been doing a great job with MDR Designs, recently branching it into Murder Graphics as well, so that's sort of focused on the racing side stuff, and then MDR Designs a little more on the professional side with your standard business graphics, and Matt's been a big part of this series for a long time. We appreciate him coming along with those two. The Southern Ontario Dirt Show, Jonathan Howe in the booth and Travis Cunningham out on track doing their podcast, keeping everybody up to speed on their local racing action, which is very important in this world. I've realized that this year, how important the local stuff really, truly is. Creative Turnings back on board this season again with us, Dan Correa. We really appreciate the continued support from the Correa family. Tanner used to race with us. I saw his good fortunes. He might be watching with us tonight. If you are, Tanner, nice to have you here with us. Dig Race Products continuing to support the series this season, as well as 47 Technology. And, of course, we got to shout out BRPtv for putting the whole show together. And tonight, Jonathan, St. Catharines Marina is presenting our show for us.
Yeah, we appreciate them coming on board. Located just down the street from Cosco College in beautiful Port Weller is the St. Catharines Marina, a full-service marina for over 50 years. So a staple of the Niagara region. We appreciate them coming on board, being a part of it, and obviously being so close to Cosco College. They are well familiar with the legacy of Mr. Pete Cosco, the track owner, one-time track owner for Humberstone Speedway in Port Colborne, as well as a driver and champion and car owner himself in his own right. And Joe, this is going to be a great race honoring the legacy of the 17C. You should point out that we had the real-life Pete Cosco Memorial earlier this year that was actually won by Pete's grandson, Jordan Cosco, who has the Travis Miller, the Thriller, as his crew chief. So it's a pretty special moment for Travis and for Jordan to win that race at Humberstone earlier this year.
Oh, that definitely would be a special moment. Was that his first time he won that race?
Yeah, first time. We actually had a great edition of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast that you can go back and listen, where we had Jordan and Travis basically co-host the whole show with us. Now, normally we would just do little guest interviews at the end of the night, but you know, they were a big part of the story of that night. So we figured, you know what, come on for the whole show. Let's have some fun. And it was a really unique and different podcast for us, and we had a blast with that. Also, I need to give a shout out to a couple of listeners. I believe it was Ross and Nick, who I met at the Niagara Ice Dogs game, who said they love the podcast, and came up to me, and I told them, I'm like, well, if you love the podcast so much, you better be watching Monday nights here on YouTube on the BRPtv channel for this exact iRacing league.
Oh, that's what I like to hear. Get us out there a little bit, talk to those guys, and looks like our grid isn't quite... I'm going to try to see if this fixes itself. Yeah, we're going to have to just go off of the screen here because we're still only showing 7 cars. So, as we go off of the starting grid, Cody Higbee is going to be taking the pole position for us tonight. 417 laps. Doesn't really matter where you start, but that's good enough to get you out of harm's way. Starting on his outside is going to be Brandon Plank in the 77X, so we'll have to watch the speed from that car. Anthony Roselli and Tyler Joshimbowski make up row number 2. And then row number 3 on the inside, you're going to have the Catfish Gavin Isley's one to watch later in the race, and Dan Sider to his outside in the 84 car. Row number 4 starts on the inside with Ryan Beagle, then Matt DeRitter to his outside. Row number 5 is going to have the St. Catharines Marina House car, Jamie Porter to the inside of the car scored as the number 80. That's Dominic Rosselli. Ryan Susi to the inside of Dean Reynolds in row number 6, and then row number 7 is going to have Jeff Sharp and Tyler Pachalski driving his 21P car. Starting 15th is Travis Miller in the 22 car. He said he's the crew chief of the winner of the real-life version of this race. Maybe he can rifle that car back up to the front. Adam Hilton to his outside. Row number 9's got Alan Slight and Travis Cunningham. Row number 10, Richie Pereira and Dean Meitzler. Row 11 to the inside is Corby Daniels, the Beef, and Pat Reiser, the Teach, to his outside. And then row number 12, Brian Berger on the inside. Nick Sheridan, who had a tough heat race, to the outside. That's the 24 for 117 laps. We've got about 30 people watching here on YouTube. We appreciate your viewership. Hope you enjoyed tonight's show as we are back on the block and ready to rock, baby. The green flag's out. Let's go racing at Volusia Speedway Park.
Good start from the front of the field as they fan out through 1 and 2. Plank up on the outside trying to track down Higbee on this opening lap. 3 wide, a little further back for the 3rd spot. Love to see that 3 wide action already in this one, Joe.
And we stay clean for the first lap around this half-mile oval. The field is still rifling around in there trying to figure out where the grip is. We've already slicked off the track enough that we're searching on the first lap for grip. And looks like right now Cody Higbee's found it on the top side, but he's kind of bringing it in on the bottom this time. Is that going to help, or is he just trying to block Plank's run? Looks like it will work either way. We'll
see what Plank sets up here in 3 and 4 as he goes to the low side, but he's been drifting up through the center of the corner and
Ooh.
going to the outside. That time he doesn't quite go to the high side, as we've got a caution back in the middle of 3 and 4 there. See if we can't get a replay and figure out who exactly is involved in this one.
Not quite sure who this is. Not quite sure what the yellow came out for. We will have to see in a second here. So let's hit the ticker and give ourselves an opportunity to check out what's going down. We're going to step it back about halfway through the lap here, and we're watching Richie Pereira. Maybe we need to step back a little further. There's the beef. And I think at this point we're still green. Oh, it's Nick Sheridan.
Yeah.
Here we go. Hold on a second. Let's see what happens here. I don't know. It's got to be Sheridan. Or maybe it doesn't, actually. Oh, hold on. It's Adam Hilton. Sorry. Let's get that one more time. Apologies. Let's back it up one more time here and get to the part where we actually can see what happens to him. This is a little bit further back than it probably needs to be, but he will have his issue before we can get to turn number 1. Might be in the middle of the corner even. Let's see if it's here.
Is that a little bit of contact there right in the middle?
Not yet, but he's in the slick stuff. Yeah, there it's going to be. There it is. It's Slight who gives him a little tap. And then...
Oh, and down into the inside.
Yep. And then does he roll it? He doesn't. Saved it. Oh, there's the first yellow of the season. Adam Hilton, a little bit of help from Slight, and into the wall on the inside of the track. Fair amount of damage on that car, Jonathan.
Yeah, that was a hard hit to the inside. You don't usually see a car hit in that way either, so you got to wonder if there's some suspension damage. Either way, we were back to green. Good start there from the 97 out front. Gavin Isley doing a good job on this restart. He uses the 3rd spot to jump kind of towards the front of the field. Looks to try to clear Plank into 3 and 4. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it. However, Higby's going to slide up, try to block Plank, and that's not going to work because Plank is now to the outside of our leader going into 1.
And it's going to be Brandon Plank taking over the lead as off of turn number 2, Will Rosselli follow him. A-Rose up top. Now looking to the middle a little bit. There's still some grip right where Rosselli is. It doesn't look like it helped him, but doesn't look like it hurt him either.
Yeah, he's got it working. I like what Rosselli's doing here. He's kind of found something a little bit lower than what Plank is doing. And I don't know what it is, but it's allowing him to really get a great drive up off the corner. He's going to go to the outside of Higby here, try to get that pass done for the 2nd spot. Looks like he'll be able to complete it going down into 1. Higby's going to fight back on the inside of the 97 machine. Top 3 cars going to be single file here for a moment as they're trying to fight over the 4th spot. Tyler Joshimbowski with a solid run up inside the top 5, but he's going to drop not just 1, but it looks like 2 spots now and fall outside the top 5.
Yeah, there's a little bit of trouble going on here for Cody Higby. Maybe dropping a little bit more than he wants, although we've still got more than 100 laps left in this race, so there's plenty of time. The question is, actually, never mind. I guess the answer is there. Is the top more dominant or the bottom more dominant? Everybody goes to the top in 3 and 4. Higby's still going to the bottom in 1 and 2. Let's see if that makes a difference. It looks like it makes a pretty big difference. I'd say the bottom still has some life down there.
Yeah, especially through 1 and 2. I don't think it's got much going on in 3 and 4 as we've got a caution out on the racetrack now once again. We'll see who's towards the back of the field here.
That is going to be the 21P of Tyler Pachalski. Let's catch a replay, see what happens to this machine as he's going to be surrounded right here a little bit by, that's Nick Sheridan on his outside. Travis Cunningham is visible back there, and Richie Pereira is the car in front. Jonathan, I'll let you see what we got. Wow, man, the precision from the 21P.
That was close.
Yeah. Well, here's the 3 wide. We'll see what happens here.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a little bit of contact there with Travis Cunningham, it looks like. And not sure if he just didn't realize he wasn't clear of Pachalski yet, but either way, they make contact and around goes that 21P. Looks like Al Slate catches a little piece of it. Doesn't look like a ton of damage to that 2 car, but tough break for the 21P. 3 wide race and deal, right, Joe? You're going to run out of room sometimes, and maybe you would have liked to see the 21 a little bit lower. Maybe you would have liked to see Cunningham maybe give a little bit more space going into that corner, but either way, Tyler Pachalski, the hot tamale, is going to be hot early in this one. 14 laps on the board.
Yeah, that Nickel Street car has been one that's gotten to the front and fallen to the back a few times in its time with this series. It might be a little hot about that, but the track's slick and you're 3 wide, and we've seen that same scenario happen hundreds of times in this series. It's just unfortunately the way things work when the track is in the form it is right now, and it's going to send the 21P to the tail as they go double file to bring us another restart. We are ticking off a couple of laps under yellow here, which is taking out of the picture that whole fuel situation we were talking about before, Jonathan, which is what we wanted to see.
Yeah, absolutely. No need for any competition cautions towards the end of the race that might mix things up. This is going to be, if they somehow want to run the next 102 laps green, we could do it right now.
And back to it. That would be really nice, but I don't know if we're going to get there. We could try. Brandon Plank takes the lead, and Rosselli's going to take P2 back onto the back chute. Higbee now makes a little bit of a run into the corner, and will he be able to put anything together out of the turn? No. So Anthony Rosselli's going to hold on to it. Isley's getting into the picture here. Gavin Isley going to the top now. We've seen him be really solid with the bottom lines, but we've also seen him last season grow a lot into having that high side speed, and he's used it to his advantage. He is in the podium positions now with 100 laps to go even.
100 to go, Joe, and I just kind of wonder about that bottom side. I think through 1 and 2 you can do it, but even just for the safety aspect, I would be off the bottom side through 3 and 4, because we've seen a couple of cars, if not just barely touch, a couple cars on the outside wall there, but just barely touch those tires on the inside coming out of 4. As things get harder to drive, as things get slicker, we got multiple cars involved at the back of the pack. There's Richie Pereira involved, 2 more cars as well. All I was trying to say, Joe, is I am definitely not running the bottom out of 3 and 4. I am not taking the chance of hitting that inside barrier that kicks it out like that. I
was running at Lincoln, the one in Pennsylvania, in a 410 with my friend Matt Faust, my best friend on the planet. He got iRacing this week. It was fun. Jonathan, when are you going to get iRacing, Jonathan? We got to have some fun with this game, brother.
When I get a PC.
Man.
When I get a PC.
Well, I'll get this replay back here, but we were running at Lincoln, which, for those of you who know, the exit of turn 2 has sort of has the same situation as this is going to be Pereira just getting a little bit ahead of himself into the corner. Just slight contact with TC90, and then he's overcorrected into the wall. Meitzler gets a piece. Slight's going to get a piece. Pachalski's going to get a big hit here. I think, actually, the Beef's going to get a...
Beef.
Yep. That's what brings out the yellow. Now, the point on Lincoln is, my friend Matt and I, we were running 410s around Lincoln. In turn 2, they have the wall that juts out the same way. And I'm going to tell you, Jonathan, I got sucked into that wall a couple times just because of how fun it is to hit it right. Like getting right up against it. Now, I know these guys are going to be a little bit smarter and more strategic than I was in that session with my friend, but running the bottom here is kind of just fun, and especially if you're not running at the front necessarily, why not? But yeah, it is a scary thing, and if you want to do well here tonight, especially right now, you are not going to be running at the bottom. You're going to run at the top. The top's a little dominant at this moment in time, so you need to go where there's grip and where there's speed. So for the moment, I would 100% agree with you, Jonathan. Not worth it right now.
I still like the bottom in 1 and 2, though. I really like, I think Higbee's made the most of it. I think we've seen Tyler Joshambowski do some work down there. I think there's something to be said about that inside line through 1 and 2. It's just how quickly they're going to burn through whatever grip still remains there after 22 laps. We're back to green once again. It's a great start from Plank. And a good battle shaping up for the second spot as Isley goes to the bottom, as does Joshambowski, and both those cars are going to advance forward as, a couple cars involved. They're all stacking up now. This is a big one on the backstretch.
Dominic Rosselli seemed to really be the starting point of all of that situation as the yellow is back out on the racetrack again. We'll have to catch the replay back to get a little bit more fulfilled look of what's going on. And
It
Yeah,
kind of just looked like Roselli on his own when he kind of started to go around there.
I think so. I think it was kind of on his own here. Let's see what we've got as we'll pull the replay out. One more back from there, and let's get it. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit further behind schedule, and I'm going to let you have this one, Jonathan, because...
So yeah, it looks like this is the restart. He's got Travis Miller to the inside. He's restarting from the high side. And like I said, there was a couple of drivers actually advancing forward on the bottom side of the racetrack through 1 and 2. You can see, looks like DeRitter go way to the outside. Susie's making a run to the inside of that 60 of Roselli. Maybe contact.
Ooh. Yeah, he got a shove in the shorts.
Yeah, yep, there it is. The 38 gets them all scrambling, and then the 60 comes down in front of the field, and cars just scramble from there. Looks like Miller gets a piece of it there. If I'm seeing that, Travis Cunningham is sideways in the middle of the stretch. Richie Pereira, another wild ride for him. Hilton's going to get some action in that. So just one of those racing deals, right? Where Susie wants to go, thinks he's got to run up off the corner, and Roselli comes down to kind of get his own launch out of the corner. And yeah, tough racing deal, tough break for the Roselli ride. But yeah, Ryan Susie wanted to go.
Yeah, I think my modified history knowledge is not the world's greatest. I do believe, though, that is a Doug Hoffman throwback right there for D-Rose. Is that correct? Do you know, Jonathan? I'm pretty sure that's what that is.
I think you are correct. I'm going to look it up right now, actually.
It's good for that as we come back, and we've already gotten the green flag back out, actually. We took our time. Oh, the leaders are around! The leaders spin in the middle of 1 and 2!
My.
Oh, no.
Have you ever?
No, I have never. Oh, don't hit Susie! Oh, boy.
Oh, Blank,
wow.
Be careful.
Well, we got back right in time to see that in live time. We'll go back again. Right as we get out of the replays, we're going right back into them. Let's check this out one more time as Brandon Plank leading, Anthony Roselli in second, and it's just going to be Roselli getting a little aggressive into the corner here. That's what's going to bring this yellow to us.
Yeah, Anthony's got a good run, running the inside. Plank kind of bogs down on the low side, and top two cars just go for a spin, a little synchronized spinning through 1 and 2. You don't want to see that, especially from the top two cars, but yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, was that a single file restart there, Joe?
It probably would have been because of the lack of time in between there weren't laps in between the two cautions that preceded it. So that would be why we would have a single file restart there. And then this is Brandon Plank coming up across the racetrack. And if I were Ryan Susie, I would not have been thrilled with that situation right there. I probably would have had to change pants, and I would have let you know over the driver chat that I wasn't super impressed by that.
No, I don't think that's but if I also just got wrecked from the lead, I might do something like that where I think I'm clear of all the racers and then not see one more coming. I think that's, I don't want to say understandable, Joe, but I definitely could understand why Plank was trying to just stand on it and get it spun back around, because that's going to be a tough hole to dig out of now, and that really shakes things up as we've seen Roselli be pretty strong. Plank has been very strong at the front of the field, and now it's Isley pacing the field with Josh Mbowski and Higbee is your top three.
Yep, and this is going to be an interesting restart single file here. We'll see if Gavin goes low or goes high to start things off. He'll probably go low, but what happens after that is as good of a guess as anybody's going to have. And Josh Mbowski hopefully will guess right for his own sake. Green flag back out, pace truck out of the way, and Gavin Isley, great restart for the 18 car.
Back to the bottom goes Higbee. He's trying to work underneath Josh Mbowski. He'll get a run down the back straightaway here. Try to set the move up into 3 and 4. But again, we've seen that bottom side not quite working for most of these drivers through this race, especially in 3 and 4. As we see a little bit of contact there with the wall from our 4th place runner. Good good battle at the front, though, as we've got 4 cars pretty much under a blanket.
Yes, we do. We're starting to reel in Jamie Porter for the first time tonight. He's going to run with Higbee and maybe make a battle out of third place. Josh Abowski, for a moment, was side by side. Oh, no, Higbee's getting the shove this time. Sliding, saved it.
What a save. What a save.
Beautiful from Cody Higbee.
He got a lot of help there and still managed to hang on to it and didn't even really lose a spot. Like, he'll drop that spot to Porter after the contact between those two. But what we're starting to see, Joe, is that there are some drivers who are really getting great runs into the corner, but it seems like as soon as you hit the middle kind of apex of this track's corners, the cars really bog down, and that's, I think, what's causing a lot of the issues that we've seen thus far.
I would agree with that 100%, and it's something we see at different tracks across the series, across the season. It's just when the track gets slippery, you have one guy in front who will try to slow it down a little more than the guy behind him, and there's really nothing you can do past that point. These cars are relatively heavy as the yellow flag is going to come out, and I think it's for the teach. Maybe not. It might be further back. Yeah, I think Ryan Susi is going to get a piece of this one. And Travis Cunningham, by the looks of it. But it's something we see a lot throughout the season. It would be great if we could see a little less of it, but it's hard to do. These cars are relatively heavy for dirt cars, and we'll catch the replay back here one more time. This is going to have TC90 involved in it. He's going to get sideways, I think, in the next set of turns. We might be a little bit far behind what actually brought out this yellow.
Catches the inside wall there. You can see him catch the inside wall as he was heading into 3 and 4 there, Joe. Mm-hmm. Does it start to come around on him here? No, it doesn't look like it. Is he going to be a victim? No, he's going to get around that inside barrier. So kind of just looks like he's on his own here. I wonder if Susi gets a little piece of it at all.
I like how that bumper bar in the back of Susi's car is just bent in. That's crazy. And here's where it's going to happen.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, Travis getting a little bit sideways, maybe a little bit of help there from Susi, but that car was already kind of going around by the time Susi got there. So tough break for TC. Was towards the back half of the field, but he was running strong before being involved in a couple cautions, and that's kind of just what can happen over 100 laps is you have a good run going, get spoiled. But it looks like we're going to get a double file restart once again, though, Joe.
Yep, and I think Dean Meitzler might be having some connection issues. I'm showing him on timing and scoring as having disappeared from the session momentarily, but looks like he's back in spot, so good for Dean. We love having Dean here. He's a loyal driver in this series. He's been with this series since before I've been part of the broadcast crew, which is, for a lot of these guys, I can say that, but there's a lot of them nowadays that I can't say that. So we appreciate Dean coming in. Hopefully that connection issue gets figured out, as we're going to go back to green double file restart for Gavin Isley, and we're back at it, 40 laps down in a 117-lap feature tonight.
40 laps down at the front of the field. We've seen a couple shakeups, especially with Plank going around. A little help from the 7 as well earlier in that one. Right now, looks like Matt DeRitter trying to break his way inside the top 5, and he's locked in a pretty good battle with Ryan Beagle, I believe that is, and it might be Josh Mbowski, actually. But good racing amongst the front, 10? We've got a great, evenly matched battle throughout this top 10, Joe. I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Volusia. I think this is kind of the sweet spot of this racetrack, as Josh Mbowski's actually going to take a swipe at the lead from Gavin Isley.
He is, and now we're going to go 3 wide for the lead. Cody Higbee wants it back. Josh Mbowski's slide job on Gavin Isley. Isley's going to give him the crossover. Josh Mbowski leads at the line, though, as we go double file for third place as well. Higbee racing Porter back there as Josh Mbowski goes off the top side. We've got Isley down low. He's dangerous down there. 88T still got the run, and Porter sends a big send into the top side of 3 and 4, and he will get the grip up top. Worth noting, look who's in P5 now as he's fought his way up in. It's the rookie Nick Sheridan, making a show of that 045 car. We'll see if he can put any further run together, but he's losing this top 4 battle a little bit as they come off the corner again.
You know what? I think Nick's got to be just happy with what he's got right now. Enjoy it. Let these front 4 fight it out for a little bit, and then maybe when they burn some of their stuff off, that's when he can kind of pounce and maybe pick them off a couple more spots, but just get some laps down towards the front of the field. You're out of the chaos, you're out of the storm, keep it clean, and try to stay towards the front while we are still under green. Josh Szymbowski doing a great job pacing this field right now, driving away from Jamie Porter. Porter, who I don't believe we had Porter with us on media night, if I'm not wrong. But
that is correct.
As we go on board with Jamie Porter, you can see the veteran of the series just working his way, trying to find wherever he can find some vulnerability in that 88 machine. It does it there. Can't quite make the move stick, but he'll keep an eye on the bottom side of the racetrack and see if he can't work over the 88 for the lead. Still, Josh Szymbowski has it.
Josh Szymbowski putting together a great run. His best finish last season, he got one single fourth place, and that was at Charlotte for the finale. Only, what, 1, 2, 3? I'm seeing 3 top 5s for him last season the whole way through it. And right now, he is leading the way and holding down everybody behind him pretty well. He's able to control Porter from behind. And as I say it, he's not going to have to worry about it for a little while because the yellow comes out. And this one's going to be on Brian Berger, I believe. We'll have to get a replay to double check it, but I'm pretty sure that 60 car is going to be the reason for this yellow.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here to this. You know what? I got to give Brian Berger a lot of love, and I love that paint scheme. I love the purple and white combination. Always one of the sharper cars out there as part of the BRP iRacing series, but we'll see if we can figure out what happens to him here.
Mm-hmm. Sharp car on the racetrack, too, because that is his actual car's paint job. He's going to get help from the other 60 car, actually.
Oof. Yeah, he gets cleaned out.
Yep. Right in front of Plank and Meitzler. And everybody else pretty much going to be able to avoid this.
Same thing we've been talking about, Joe. Is that lead car, the one that always ends up seeming to go around, it's like they bog down or they just can't quite get the wheels to grip up in the center and the center off, and that allows whoever's behind them who may or may not have a run to kind of get to their back bumper and contact ensues. So we're seeing a lot of similar stuff here as we're closing in, about what, 10 or so laps, 15 laps from halfway here?
Yeah, the predictability factor, once the track's slicked off, unfortunately there is a little bit to it. It's the same game every time to get into the corner and not run into the car in front of you. Sometimes you just don't get it quite right. It happens. But, yeah, unfortunately, that's going to be Brian Berger's first yellow he pulls of the season, hopefully the last. That is a good-looking race car. We like seeing it at the front of the grid, and we've had to talk to him a few times here on the broadcast. That is a absolutely quality, good human being driving that 60 car, so maybe we'll get a chance to see him in a podium position by the end of this season. Right now, the podium for tonight's Pete Cosco Memorial, presented by St. Catharines Marina, has Tyler Josh Szymbowski leading Jamie Porter in the 45, and Cody Higbee right now sits P3, but he's got Isley right on his outside in that 18 car looking to pounce. So Josh Szymbowski's going to have control. As we come back to the line, we will have completed lap 53. We are not halfway, but we're getting there. Doing some quick math, we need to finish 4 more laps and we'll get to halfway. Let's get it to it. Might actually be 6 more laps. But nonetheless, let's give him some beans and go back to racing.
Good jump there from Josh Szymbowski. He's going to go around. Josh Szymbowski turned at the front of the field. They're going to stack up, pile up. Big accident at the front of the field as Josh Szymbowski. You know what I was just going to talk about, Joe, was that every time it seemed like Josh Szymbowski had a good run, he would get involved in some sort of situation, and that maybe reduced the amount of quality finishes that we saw out of that 88 last year. And through no fault of his own there, he gets hooked together, I believe, with Jamie Porter, and they all stack up and pile in from there.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen here. The replay is going to start us back a little further than we want, but we'll catch off the replay. Higbee's absolutely incredible run off the bottom side to stay even with Gavin Isley and into the first corner. You're going to see Porter stay close but not make contact, and then unfortunately down the back straightaway is when we're going to see that change. And what a tough break for Tyler Josh Szymbowski. This just always seems to happen to him when he's leading these races.
Yeah, it's just such a weird incident, too, because I'm not sure. Maybe, I guess Porter just got a better run than he thought, and then right here, they just get hooked together. And there's nothing that either of these drivers can really do. I mean, maybe Porter can slam on the brakes, but then he gets, potentially run over from behind as we see Nick Sheridan get a piece of that. Looks like Plank's going to get involved. Travis Miller gets a piece of it on the high side. Is that Isley that I think was involved there as well?
Yep, Isley was involved. Slight had a piece. I think Susie was okay. TC was okay. Tough.
Yeah. A lot of heavy hitters and front runners involved in that one, and that's what's going to happen when you have the leader get turned on the backstretch. Like, I'm not even sure how that happened. I don't know if Porter just didn't anticipate the run. If there was some kind of maybe weaving back and forth across the nose, but it's just weird to see two cars going in a straight line get hooked together like that.
Yeah, I think Porter got a little more momentum than he expected. That might have been what brought us that one. That was tough to watch. That's a shame for both of those guys. They're going to be sent back to the rear of the field, but it does hand the race lead back to Cody Higbee, and it puts Nick Sheridan in second place, and it puts Matt DeRitter in third, which is going to make things interesting for the rest of the way if those guys stay around. Matt DeRitter, great season last time out. Definitely one of the guys we could talk about having a championship opportunity this season. And look at Dan Sider making a run for the podium here, too.
Absolutely. Love what I'm seeing from Dan Sider. I have to wonder how much damage the rookie Nick Sheridan's got after being involved in that incident. But so far, not affecting him as he's driven away from third place. Not really making any inroads on Cody Higbee, but give Cody Higbee clean racetrack and a spot out front. He's going to be tough to catch from anybody, especially a rookie in the series and, typical sprint car driver, not necessarily a modified guy when it comes to Nick Sheridan in the real world outside of iRacing, but doing a good job right now.
That's right. He is a sprint car driver up there with you guys in the real world, and he's making his first run of the BRP iRacing series this season. 60 laps into his first race with the group, and he's in P2, and he's putting a gap in between himself and Matt DeRitter. Can he get into the gap with Higbee? It's about 0.7, now 0.9 seconds. I'm going to give this a few laps to cook on it, but Sheridan looks like he can gain in the middle of the corners.
Yeah, it definitely looks like he's got the middle rolling quite well in that 045 machine as we got a couple cars tangling towards the back of the field, putting us under yellow once again. We'll see what the issue is here. I believe it's going to involve Travis Miller, though.
Yes, it is. That's a shame. We'll have to watch Sheridan off the restart here and see if we can track some lap times. But first up, let's check out the replay of what happens to the 22 Junior, I believe. It's got the 77X car and the 3A in the sights. Oh, just running out of room with blank there. Ooh.
Oh, and then just gets cleaned out from behind. Nowhere for Hilton to go.
And we got our first rollover of the night. And who better for it to be?
Flip counters at one.
There you go. Miller Lida. I'm sure he's going to love being the first guy to flip this season. But he just ran out of room with Plank. I mean, was that even his fault?
I don't think that's really either driver's fault. I mean, it's not like these guys have spotters telling them, you got a guy with a wheel alongside. Maybe you want to see Plank give a little bit more space there and race, but either way, Travis Miller's night has just gone into shambles.
Mm-hmm. That's a tough break for him. And yeah, I would agree. Looking at it, it did seem to be a bit of a racing incident there between the two of them. Just running out of space. There's only so much of it. And that back straightaway, now you could probably vouch for this too, Jonathan, with the World of Outlaws game. When you run the back straightaway, it's curved the whole way. So even though there's plenty of space, it doesn't feel that way because you get out of turn number 2, you try to go straight and get as much speed as you can, but all of a sudden the wall's coming at you, and then it really feels like you start getting crowded because the wall is legitimately coming at you. You're on a curved straightaway.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those weird things. Merrittville's got a D-shaped back straightaway with that curve, but there's no outside wall, so we don't have that same problem at my home racetrack. But here at Volusia, yeah, if you're running on the outside wall, it can almost be like an illusion where you think you can go straight for ever so slightly, and then you got to start kind of arcing it and turning left and get ready for that corner, which also makes, I think, this third turn so unique and why we're seeing so many drivers challenge it with a different line, Joe. But either way, we're back to green here. Cody Higbee, great restart. He'll jump out to the front of this field. A couple cars maybe tagging the outside wall on that restart. but everybody seems to be able to keep it clean and green thus far.
I really liked what you said right there, Jonathan, about how that corner challenges drivers to be a little creative and have unique lines that aren't the same. That's a great point. You talk about racetracks that are a little more uniform between the two sides of the track. You kind of get rhythms, and you can run the same line in each set of turns. But Volusia, as we've seen, even physically watching the race right now, 1 and 2 are so different than 3 and 4, and it is going to challenge these guys to do some things that are different. Nick Sheridan just ran a high side line that we have not seen much of, if any, tonight, and they're continuing to do so. That's an excellent point, and it really does show how skillful Cody Higbee has to be doing what he's doing right now, but also for the guys like Dan Sider. Look at Dan Sider making a run at third place right now. He passes DeRitter into that corner, and he's getting a little creative to do so. Adam Hilton, he's almost into the wall up there.
Yeah, looking at that turn 3, as we see Hilton's going to try to sail it in on the inside of DeRitter as Sider starts to close up on the rookie. Good moves from Dan Sider. But watching to turn 3, it's almost like once they hit the apex, they're going straight. You can't really see it that time. Sider changed up his line a little bit, but I've been watching him the last couple laps, and it's like you kind of arc down, you drive straight through the center, and then right as you're like kind of really needing to hit the apex of the corner, that's when they swing the back end around. As we see Sider dive to the inside of Sheridan there, working on the second spot. Hasn't been able to make it work yet, as still Sheridan committed to that outside line, searching for a little something. And Sider's going to get to the inside, have a look here in 3 and 4 once again, but he's going to need to throw like a massive slider or something to be able to clear Sheridan the way Sheridan is running that outside, just ripping around the top, Joe.
Now, here's a question I have for you, Jonathan. I've thought about this in situations like what we have right here. It seems like pretty much everybody behind these guys is running the top side, which means the top line's going to get used up. So the question I have is, does Dan Sider need to be patient and keep doing what he's doing and wait for that moment when his line starts being a little more dominant than the top? Or does he need to change it up? The top is getting used. Objectively speaking, it's getting used up. The question is, how long does it last, and does Dan Sider wait for it, or does he do something proactive to get around that second place car?
See, that's what I was waiting for right there, is that little slip up through 3 and 4, where now he's lost that inside line on Sheridan. So if it was me, I would be going right back to the top side, trying to follow Sheridan's tire tracks perfectly, and then maybe see if I can pounce, maybe almost turn down underneath him, especially through 1 and 2. He's going to have to close back in here first before he can think about making that move. DeRitter's not far off of this frame, though. He's starting to close in on the back bumper of Sider, and that if this turns into a 3-car battle, then what happens? Do you go bottom? Do you go top? Can you make some speed in the middle there? As we see these drivers continuing to use different lines, it looks like DeRitter and Sider both committing to that bottom, sliding up to the top side. Sheridan still just ripping around the outside, doing a great job hanging on to the second spot. But Cody Higbee's loving what he's seeing in the out back, because he's just driving away from these guys.
Yeah, he would love that. Now, the new rule this season, it has been mandated by the series that they are not able to run mirrors in this game. So technically speaking, Cody Higbee can't see what's going on behind him, but he would like it if he could see it, because Sheridan, even what little, quote, battle these two have had, it has allowed Cody Higbee to build a 2.5-second gap up to them, as we're going to finish the 80th lap around this track and put ourselves at a spot where we only have about 47 to go. I believe that's correct math. Or maybe 37.
37.
Yeah, there you go. I'm an engineer. I can do math. Yeah, 37 laps to go for Cody Higbee, and that gap's still getting bigger, and it's already 2.5 seconds. So this is definitely helping him out.
Now, what about lap traffic, Joe? Can we see Cody Higbee hit the back of this field with 24 some odd cars, I believe, 25 that may have started this race?
What a great question. Well, let's check in with the driver who's running 24th right now. The Beef, Corby Daniels, in car number 31 for Beef Esports, is going out of turn number 2 right now, and Higbee's going through turn 1 right now. So, yeah, I could very easily see this being a lap traffic situation on the horizon. Lap times are only about 0.2 of a second different between the two guys, actually. So the field's really running pretty consistent lap times throughout the board. However, 0.2 of a second per lap, it's still putting Higbee closer and closer to the Beef. And once that comes into play, yeah, then we'll see how big that gap really is.
Well, you know what? This is what we talked about after qualifying as well, as we saw the whole field was within 0.6 of each other, I believe, total. So from the fastest time to the slowest time. And now it's narrowed even further as the track continues to wear. Grooves are changing. Sheridan continues to hold off Sider. Sider's starting to sort of driven away from DeRitter now, it looks like, as these two continue to battle. Ooh, a little tag of the outside wall there from Sheridan. He's going to dive to the inside. And that's the slip up that Sider needs. I don't necessarily, I don't have the lap times in front of me, Joe, but if Sider can get past get past Sheridan, does he have something for Higbee? Could he run him down, especially if lap traffic's a factor? That's something we're going to find out, hopefully eventually here, although the rookie would really like to spoil Sider's plans.
This gap just keeps getting bigger and bigger, so it's hard for me to say that the traffic will for sure give something to Sheridan, but you never know. And I mean, yeah, anything could happen once you start hitting lap traffic. We have a really great battle going on here, though, for it looks like 7th and 8th place, and 9th too, as Gavin Isley's in the picture with this one. It's Anthony Rosselli in the 7 car, Jamie Porter in the 45, and then there's Isley. Jeff Sharp right behind them in the new looks number 28. Hilton and Plank making a race out of 5th spot in front of those guys, and this is where the action is on track right now.
Yeah, good battle from about 6th position on back here. They're all stacking up. A lot of these guys, drivers that have had issues tonight, that are trying to fight their way back towards the front of the field. We've seen Isley up inside the top 3. He's fighting back. Jamie Porter obviously was involved in that one big yellow involving Josh Mbowski, who, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe we got Josh Mbowski back out there. If we did, his car obviously injured from the heavy hits that it took, and he's not been able to fight his way back up past, looks like 16th is where Josh Mbowski is. So he's on the track, but hasn't really been able to advance forward the same way that he had, with the same pace, I should say, that he had earlier in this one. But Roselli doing a good job working the bottom. Hilton is trying not to get swallowed up here. Good racing, Joe. I'm really loving what I'm seeing from Volusia and from this series in general tonight.
Yeah, this is really class racing right now. Class acts around the track. Little contact there. Hey, maybe not class act. I mean, they're racing well, but the elbows are out. This is the Pete Cosco Memorial, and there's a real-world Pete Cosco Memorial up in Canada. There's the virtual one here to start off the virtual season for these guys. Everybody wants to win. You want to win week in, week out. You want to win a race as special as this one. So, and even for these guys, maybe you're not going for the win, you're going for a top 5. That's still worth something. So these guys they're putting a show on for us right now, trying to keep things interesting here as we're ticking off the laps and getting closer and closer to the end of this race.
Yeah, we're coming up close to 20 laps to go. 23 to go right now, and good racing again from 6th or so on back. None of these guys have been able to really break out of this pack. I'd love to see Jeff Sharp, though. Yeah, how about, he's another driver who we haven't really talked about getting a piece of any of the incidents. He's kind of just hung around all night, kept the car clean, kept it green, and now he is finding himself up inside a top 10 battle.
And we jump back to the leader because we have, it seems like something has gone wrong for the number 90 car. Travis Cunningham very quickly has dropped to the back of the field here, and he might be just trying to get closer to the end of this race. Maybe, I think he'll stay out on the track here. But the leader has gotten past the Beef and past Travis Cunningham, who now brings it very slow and maybe to a stop on the front stretch. And Pat Reiser's around, and that brings out a yellow. Ooh. And look out. Look out. There's a break.
Scrambles. We'll see what happens.
There is a break in the run. What a great green flag run that was, though.
Yeah, that was great. There was, solid amount of time ran there. As it looked like Beef finally got lapped as well by Cody Higbee. Higbee ran him down, but let's see what happens here. If it's a solo incident, or does Miller get a piece of this?
Oh, yeah, Miller's going to get
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't
Travis
say...
Miller just sails it in a little too hot.
Yeah, I wouldn't say a piece. I'd say Travis kind of took the cake there, took the whole cake. That was a very solid piece of contact between the two of them. Fortunately for Pat Reiser, he's able to get off of the wall here, avoid having to reset the car, which would take him out of the race at this point. Miller, tough break for him as well, just sliding in a little fast. It's the same thing as it always has been, Jonathan. These guys, they go into the corner. The car in front's a little bit slower, a little bit more woed up. The car behind brings in a little more speed, and it's the same story.
Yeah, tough break for the Teach there as Miller kind of cleans them out, but we are going to be within 20 laps to go when we get the green flag once again, and the pressure's going to be on. 117 laps, and it's going to come down to at least a probably 15-lap shootout.
Yeah, we're going to hit lap 100 this time, and probably not go 1 to green. I might be wrong about that. I am wrong about that. We're going 1 to green this time.
Right.
So, yeah, 16 laps.
16, 17 laps to settle it. 16 to go by the time they get back to green. Who do you like here? Here's the two questions. Who do you like, and do we have another yellow before it's all said and done?
Who do I like? I really like Higbee. I think that's a pretty easy shot to call. But Sider's in second now, so we'll see if that bodes into his ability to catch that 97 car. I was wrong. We aren't going back to green this time. Something happened. But so we will have that 15-lap run to the finish. Jonathan, you were right all along. I never doubted you, but yeah, my math must be off tonight. The second question, are we going to see another yellow? Yeah, probably. I mean, we're getting to the end of the race, and we've stacked everybody back up together. And I think if I'm doing... Now, this isn't math. This is just a guess. But I'm pretty sure around half of the cautions we've had in this race have been followed. Like, of the periods of time we've had yellows, I'm pretty sure about half of them have been a yellow following another yellow. So it's
What's that old adage?
It's statistically significant. So green flag's out. 15 laps. Let's see what happens.
Bad start there from Sider, as it looks like Nick Sheridan's going to have a run to the inside for the second spot on the restart. Can't quite get the drive up off the corner that he needs. He'll have to fall back in line behind Sider. No, he's still going to challenge into 3 and 4. Higbee is away with the top spot. Here comes DeRitter now on the rookie Sheridan. Sheridan tags the outside wall just ever so slightly. Gavin Isley there as well, as Sheridan slides it up to the way outside. He'll try to put the power down and stay with DeRitter. Can't do it. Oh, they're stacking up behind. There it is.
Oh, you got a caution. I was right. We have a yellow. It is Adam Hilton bringing it to us again this time. The 3A car. And he's going to try to see if he can help get Brian Berger off the wall and back on all 4 wheels. If not, Brian's going to have to reset the car. And he does it.
There he goes.
There you go.
There he goes.
That's teamwork right there. Good stuff, Adam. That was... I think you can understand...
Good sportsmanship.
Yeah, good sportsmanship. That was really classy, good thing from a guy who we know is a classy, good driver. So let's get the replay back anyway and see what happened in the first place. One more time here, and it's going to be a tap from Reynolds.
Ooh, Dean.
Yep. A little bit of love from Dean Reynolds. Everybody's trying to avoid Meitzler. Beagle. Slight gets a little love. Slight's going to get the wall here, too. Dominic Roselli.
Puts Berger into the fence, and that's what tips him over.
Yep. And then...
Michalski.
Yep. And let's hit Berger here. Yeah, Berger just got up into the wall, and it clipped him sideways, and then he does this awkward little crabbing motion. And then from here...
Almost looks like he's going to be able to save himself here, and then not quite.
Almost. But he sent out an SOS over the driver chat in the game, and good old pal Mr. Hilton jumps up top to save him. And I think that's fair. Kind of not the cause of the yellow, but... Whoops, wrong button. Not the cause of the yellow, but... sort of the main proponent of the yellow. So do a little favor for Mr. Berger. Put it back on his wheels. We are going to be at 10 laps to go when we get the restart this time. Now let me ask you, Jonathan, this time around, who do you like?
You know, I kind of have a weird feeling about our boy DeRitter. He's kind of quietly snuck back into the picture. The other one who snuck back into things is Gavin Isley. 10 laps is not a lot of time to work with, but as we go back green, And watch for those two guys on the inside to sneak up and maybe steal a podium spot, or maybe the win is here goes DeRitter 3 wide down the back straightaway.
There's 3 wide. Is he going to get a 2-for-1 into the corner? Sheridan going to go to the top side, try to carry that momentum. There's still 3 wide. Brandon Plank's right there, too. Don't count that 77X car out. He won this race last year. Higbee leads in through 1 and 2 again. DeRitter can't keep it down on the bottom side, but maybe a little bit of extra grip right there. There's still 3 wide for that position.
Yeah, that inside is just not working through 3 and 4, so anybody who gets a good run at a 2 on the low side immediately just kind of gives it back up in 3 and 4. Cody Higbee driving off with the advantage. Things getting real tight down there in 1 and 2, Joe.
Yeah, a little bit of a tap from Sheridan at the back of DeRitter. He goes to the top side now. Brandon Plank all the way up to the wall trying to do something. Dan Sider up to the top side as well. We have an Isley catfishing down there, going between 4th and 5th with Sheridan. Sider is back in shape. Pachalski's wrecking in the back. The yellow flag's going to come out, and we're going to have to woe them all down. What a great race for that position, but unfortunately the 21P in what looks like a very significant crash.
Yeah, he's already taken it to the infield, so looks like he's going to have a pretty big hit here. We'll get the replay.
And this is going to be an incident in turns 3 and 4, so the replay is going to catch up with us here in a second, but we've got Richie Pereira on the inside, well, in the middle, actually, I should say, with the 96 car, 47 technology. And then that Doug Hoffman, number 60, is D-Rose, Dominic Rosselli. And let's see what happens into the corner. Dean Reynolds back there, too, the 79 car.
And don't forget that Pachalski and Reynolds have a history, so...
Ooh, it's actually
like
Slight.
Yeah, Al Slate's going to turn the 21 down into Reynolds. And back across the racetrack off the nose of Miller. That's a hard hit.
Mm-hmm. And that's turn 4's wall for you there, Tyler. A tough break for the 21P, trying to get to the end of this race. And he is not going to be doing so. Unfortunately, the 21P sent to the trailer, not by his own fortune or not by his own doing. Unfortunately, we're down to 22 in the grid. Travis Cunningham did pull off a couple laps back, so 22 car is going to try to finish out this race. And we're probably going to have about 4 laps to go when we get the green, 3 or 4 laps to go. So it's really going to come down to crunch time for Matt DeRitter to put something a little stronger together. Maybe Dan Sider do the same. Higbee has been controlling this show for a long time.
Now, are we going? Yes, we are going to go double file, it looks like. So we should be going back green now. Double file, Joe, I was going to say if it was single file, I would say that maybe that actually helps DeRitter or Sider. But I think the double file restarts are just a little bit too chaotic to get enough of a run to challenge that 97 machine. And Higbee, he's been strong on the restarts. He's been jumping out to early advantages. There's some heavy hitters who have gotten back up to the front. What do they have for him here?
Well, there's only one way to find out. Give them the green flag and see what happens. We're back to racing again at Volusia Speedway Park. The Pete Cosco Memorial, presented by St. Catherine's Marina, is back and underway, and let's see if we can get him to the finish this time. Cody Higbee leads off of turn number 3 now into turn number 4. Sider's going to have a run at DeRitter, and they stay side by side at the line. 3 to go, and we are racing for the podium. Oh, and the yellow's right back out.
For it right now. Yeah, I was going to say, I thought I spotted a bit of an incident towards the back of the field. I thought I saw one car around, and I believe that might have been the 60 of Berger.
We've got Dean Meitzler involved in it here as well. Let's catch the replay, and I think we're going to have ourselves a green-white checkered finish. So we've had enough caution laps that I don't think it's going to be a problem, but it could be a fuel scenario. Who knows? It's going to be Slight again making contact. Here. There's Meitzler. That's Slight, just a little bit of contact there between the two of them.
Yeah, but it almost kind of seemed like they all just ran out of racing room. And, it's crunch time. Everybody's trying to take. There's no give. Mm-hmm. And it is Meitzler that goes around, not Berger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a shame for Dean. Poor guy. Oh, well. We're getting to the end of this race here. We'll just be able to see what he can salvage. But nonetheless, they're running into each other in the caution lap here. We're going to have a green-white checkered attempt. So a couple more laps ticked on to this race for these guys. Before we race any further, one more quick shout-out to MDR Designs, Murder Graphics, the Southern Ontario Dirt Show, Creative Turnings, Dig Race Products, 47 Technology, and, of course, everybody behind the scenes at BRPtv for helping us put together the show tonight, and especially to St. Catharines Marina for sponsoring the running of the Pete Cosco Memorial in iRacing at Volusia Speedway Park. It's been fun. We're shaking off the cobwebs. I think that was something I was going to point out about Alan Slight being involved in 2 accidents in a row. All these drivers are out here. A lot of them haven't raced on iRacing in, heck, some of them since we were last on live stream. So it's a game of getting back into the swing of things around here. Cody Higby's done a stellar job of getting back up to speed quickly, though, as he's going to lead us back to the green-white checkered restart.
Thunders into corner number 1 with about a car length advantage on Dan Sider. Sider having a good run here tonight, looking to finish strong with a podium spot. DeRitter underneath him trying to challenge for that second spot. And one car around at the back of the field. And
Susie
going to get a yellow here.
Nope, they stayed green.
No,
Susie got off the racetrack. White flag is out. One more time around here.
Final lap around Volusia to settle the Pete Cosco Memorial to kick off the BRP iRacing TV series. Down the front straightaway. Give the win to Cody Higby. He cashes in and beats Dan Sider, Matt DeRitter to the stripe. Dominant performance, especially in the last half of that race from Cody Higby, Joe. And you know what? Very deserving winner.
Absolutely he is. What a performance by Cody Higby in a beautiful new ride for this season. The Iceless 97 car. A little bit of redemption from the last time out as he will take it to the top step of the podium. We're going to give them guys some time. This will be our first chance to interview Mr. Higby after the full racing season out in the real world. We'll see what happens here. But, yeah, dominant performance. Ever since he got back into the lead, there was no turning back. Cody Higby had this lead, had the win in the bag. All he had to do was stay clean, which he did so. Give these guys a quick
Yeah, it was
second.
really impressive, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
It was really impressive to watch that at the front of the field and see him just kind of drive away unchallenged. Like, we talked about all night how this track was going to change, things were going to get tricky, and it just, whatever the track threw at him, Cody was able to survive and get to the end and drive away at the end.
And let's get him in here, and let's talk to our winner. I'm going to set up the post-race stuff here. Here we go. And into the booth, 74 laps to win this race tonight. Cody, you dominated the Pete Cosco Memorial, and well-deservingly, you get the crown.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a dominant race for sure. Right there, I mean, in the beginning, I kind of fell back to, I think, 4th. And riding behind them guys, I kind of found a good line that I knew would stay there throughout the rest of the race. And just kind of, once I got back into clean air, just kind of conserved and kept running the same line every lap. And, we prevailed.
Talk to me about running this racetrack the whole way through. We were slicked off in the heat races. This track has been sparing of grip since literally the beginning of the night. Talk to us about how you managed that, and especially managed the tires now that we have tire wear in this video game here that we have to consider. Do you think you did a good job with it? How did that feel in that aspect of the car?
Yeah, for sure. I knew tire management would be huge. I don't have a ton of laps this season, especially 117 laps. That's a lot. And like you mentioned, the track was pretty slick right from the get-go. So, I kind of missed practice because of a family event. But right as I got into time trials there, I kind of saw the line and felt what the track was going to be like. And, I have a lot of laps at Volusia. It's really all momentum-based. So you kind of build your laps off of the momentum you got out of the last corner, and that's what we made happen.
Well, it was a stellar performance from you, which we're used to seeing from this 97 car. Now, I got to ask, after last season, you were right there for the championship at the end of it. Are we going to see you run the full season and go for the championship again? Because you have a really great starting point for the rest of the way, coming off of winning the first race of the event of the season.
Absolutely. I'm definitely going to run the whole tour here. it's a great way to stay sharp in the off season and run with these guys. It's really fun. We crack some jokes and we race pretty hard. So, I just want to thank everybody that puts this on. You guys that do the broadcast, it's a really stellar broadcast. Corby and Matt, they do a great job running this league, and I just can't thank them enough. It's a ton of fun to run with the winter in here, and I just want to thank Matt. He also did my paint job for today, and he did a really great job with it. And I want to thank the people who put up the money too, St. Catharines Marina.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're putting together a little bit of a purse for the race tonight. And hey, man, if there's any night to do it, it's the night where the money's on the line. So congratulations, Cody, on getting the first win of the season. This probably won't be the only one this season. But, yeah, congratulations, brother. The car looks good, and you look good driving it tonight, too.
Thank you. Yeah, we're off to a great start, so hopefully we can keep it up.
Absolutely. You take it easy, and congratulations from us.
Thank you.
And that is Cody Higbee in the number 97 machine, putting together a very dominant run, like we've mentioned a few times in that conversation. Jonathan, I'm going to get to hand you to a guy who I'm admittedly a little jealous you get to talk to. It would be really great to get him in for what I believe is his first interview with us in BRPtv. First interview for a podium, I think, in 2 years. But I'll hand you the 084 car, Dan Sider.
Dan Sider, you got a copy. It's Jonathan up in the booth.
I do, sir.
Congratulations on a great run tonight. Hard-fought battle for that second spot with the rookie Nick Sheridan through the middle of that race and then holding off Matt DeRitter at the end. Talk to us about your drive tonight.
Yeah, that was a race, Nick and I, getting us exchange, kind of dice it up quite a bit there. Like I said in last week, when we get the slick, that's when I really like to drive, being able to drive through the slick and get off the corners. I used a little bit more of my right rear tonight than I would have liked to have. Kind of took away from what I could do with Cody at the end. But yeah, it was a great race, a lot of fun to be out there, and it's good, nice to be back. Nice to come back for a second place finish, that's for sure.
And talk to us about the track changing, and you mentioned that it got kind of slick out there. Things really seemed to change throughout the drive from the start of the night to the end of the night, and the lines changed too. So just talk to us about what you were feeling and what you loved about that slick surface that came to you.
Yeah, the lines changed it quite a bit. In my qualifying lap, I went on the outside and were able to put down third quick. And then as the night went on, the bottom kind of came back, and then there was a period of time where the middle was really quick, and I was finding a lot of grip there, and that's when I was able to catch back up to Nick. But once it wears out like this, the key is just throttle control and try to save your right rear, and that's what we did.
And lastly, I just wanted to ask, with a second place run to start the season, how confident are you feeling about making maybe not a full-on championship run, but being a contender deep into the season? Is this something that you can sustain throughout the whole year, you think?
If we keep getting these slick tracks, it's very possible. The key is getting a good start and getting up front as quick as you can, and then trying to just maintain. And that's what we're trying to do tonight. So, yeah, I hopefully we can keep it going. My goal still hasn't changed. Try to get a top 10 each week, and then at the end of the season, it'll be what it'll be.
Well, it's a good start towards that goal. Congratulations on the second place run. There's Dan Sider tonight.
Thanks, Shannon.
And that was so deserving. I'm so happy to see that 084 car on the podium. He ran a hell of a race here tonight. But another guy who ran a hell of a race that we didn't see a ton of. I mean, he didn't lead any laps, but he had a hell of a run to get himself back onto things here tonight. And Matt DeRitter up into the booth with us. It seems like you're right back in step with where you left off last season, my man.
It didn't feel like it at the start of the race, but yeah, it's nice to pull out a little podium finish here for the first race of the season and get some points on the board.
Talk to me about the surface of this racetrack from your perspective. It was slick from the very beginning. I'm sure by the end it was almost rubbered in. How did you manage the car starting from such a point where we were so far into the racetrack's wear that you're already having to control the car in a way that sometimes we never even hit in a night?
Yeah, I'm definitely not the best when it comes to slick tracks, but I'm getting there with this, especially with this league, because we're starting to move towards slicker tracks, and it's been a learning curve, just trying to manage the throttle, and I don't know. The start of the race, I was like, wow, it's already pretty slick, and then we get to the end, it's like, man, I'm putting around this place, but it definitely took me, I don't know, 15, 20 laps just to get rolling, and I was able to start gaining on Dan and Nick when they were battling, but those late race cautions just kind of killed the momentum a little bit.
Yeah, that kind of does happen with those late race yellows. Talk to me about your own personal growth through the race with this event. You say it didn't really start off on the right foot, but by the end of it, you were right in the mix of things. What were the big factors that really got the 03 car to the front tonight?
I mean, I'd like to give a little shout out to Porter. He definitely helped me get some spots there, but yeah, I definitely got gifted a few spots, but I'm glad I was able to kind of hold everybody off, and be consistent at the later point of the race. But yeah, I'd say it was just kind of sticking with it and trying to build that momentum, and I'm just glad I could get a podium to start the season.
Well, that's a great way to start things off for sure, Matt. Your championship run is started off on the right foot. Who do you have to thank and shout out here on the broadcast for putting the 03 car in third place at the end of the Pete Cosco Memorial?
Yeah, definitely. Shout out Murder Graphics and Beef Esports, MDR Designs. You guys for putting the broadcast on. B for everything he does, and can't wait to hit next week.
That's what I like to hear. Congratulations, Matt, on the third place run. We'll talk to you at Lernerville. That's where we're going.
Sounds good.
Bang. There you go. There is Matt DeRitter, one of the leaders of this series. He puts things on. He paints a lot of these cars. He does the graphics. He does a lot. And tonight he was rewarded with that third place run, Jonathan.
Absolutely. You know what? Sometimes you just got to be lucky, you got to be good, and DeRitter was definitely a combination of both, but nobody was as good or as dominant as our winner, Cody Higbee. Wins it from the pole, should say, as well. Gets the win over Dan Sider, Matt DeRitter, Gavin Isley, Nick Sheridan, their top five. Good run from the rookie to start off with a top five. Good rally there from Jamie Porter, as well as Anthony Roselli, Brandon Plank, Ryan Beagle with a quiet ninth place. Kept that 84 clean and ends up with a ninth spot. And Jeff Sharp, a solid top 10 to start the season.
Yep, and then going to 11th is Tyler Joshimbowski. He was leading for a while. What a tough break for him, but he ends up just outside of the top 10. Dominic Roselli ends up P12. Richie Pereira ends up 13th. Dean Reynolds goes from 14th, and Alan Slight ends up rounding out the top 15. The thriller, Travis Miller, he thrilled us a few times tonight, ends up in 16th spot. 17th for Pat Reiser. Brian Berger, 18th. 19th for Dean Meitzler, and the Beef's going to be rounding out the top 20 for us.
And rounding out the field, 21st, Adam Hilton, Ryan Susi. A couple laps down, he was involved in an incident on the final restart there and decided to take it to the inside, not cause another yellow. Tyler Pacholski, some tough luck tonight. And Travis Cunningham, not 100% sure what happened with that race car, but we'll find out. And we'll probably talk about it on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show.
It sounds like a good idea. You get a little insight there on what went wrong. It seemed like he seemed to be having some maybe connection issues in there as well. But rounds out the first race of the season. Hey, Cody Higbee was the championship leader at the last race of the season last season, and he finished 25th out of 26 cars in this event last year. So I would be standing behind the idea that nobody is out of the championship off of a night like this so early, but not the way you want to start it. So we'll take that for what it's worth.
No, not the way you want to start. Not the way you want to start, but definitely the way you want to start if you are Cody Higbee. That was an impressive performance. Had this track figured out from the very beginning, fast in qualifying. Won his heat, max points day for the 97, and that is definitely going to go a long way to a little championship redemption if he can pull it off. But we've got a long way to go before that, Joe. We've got a full season, just one race under our belts, another 4 races, if I'm not mistaken, before we hit the Christmas break. So what a way to start it.
That's correct. We got 4 more weeks of this before we have our 2-week break for the holidays, and then we rifle off the last 15 all back to 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 back.
I think the Cup Series.
Yes. And, yeah, you're right. This is a great way for Cody Higbee to start things off. So maximum, I think almost maximum. The only bonus points he missed, I believe, were the fast qualifier. And actually, he might not have gotten the best lap in the session. But, yeah, max points in terms of on-track activities for Higbee. Great performance for him. Great performance for Sider. Look at that. Excellent stuff. And Jamie Porter was up there for a while. Josh Mbowski showed some momentum, even though he didn't quite get the result to show for it. Brandon Plank didn't just completely obliterate everybody, which is something we saw a couple times last season. We might see it more. We probably will see it before the end of this one. But this was a great race. Really exciting. There was a lot of really good stuff going on the track. The slicked off track really helped things, and 117 laps in the book. The P. Cosco Memorial, presented by St. Catharines Marina, did the show for us. So, Jonathan, final words on Volusia. What does it bring forward to Lernerville? How do you feel? It's good to be back in the saddle.
Great to be back, and here's how I feel. I'm running through the list of names that we talked about being at the front of this field, being in contention for the win, for the lead at various points, and I'm counting at least 10 drivers, if not maybe more, who could have won this race tonight. And that is a great sign going forward. We'll see what next week has to offer, what the rest of the season has to offer, but this is a competitive iRacing series, and we are just getting started.
That's exactly right. So 19 more races. They're all coming to you live on BRPtv, so be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon to get the notifications on when these streams go live. We had a lot of people here supporting the P. Cosco Memorial Night tonight. Thank you all for tuning in and showing up to support this series, this race, these people, and our streams. I'm Joe Donahue. On behalf of Jonathan Howe beside me in the booth, the Beef, Corby Daniels, and Matt DeRitter running the show for the BRP iRacing series, the P. Cosco Memorial presented by St. Catharines Marina, of course, MDR Designs, Murder Graphics, the Southern Ontario Dirt Show, Creative Turnings, Dig Race Products, 47 Technology, along with us. It's been a pleasure to bring you this iRacing broadcast, and in 1 week's time, we go to Lernerville for the Axton Strong 60. We will be more than happy to welcome you back there when we return next time. But until then, y'all take it easy, stay safe, and have a great week, everybody.